So, I'm here to talk about possibly my favorite camera currently, and that is my Kyocera T Zoom. Now, before this particular camera, I was shooting most of my 35mm on a Minolta X700, which was a pretty good starting camera, I would say. Definitely, for $80, it's kind of hard to beat. Some of the images that came out of it were pretty good, but some of them, despite my best efforts, came out a little meh. And I don't think that's the camera's fault. I feel like that is more of user error. But moving on to this system, I was definitely really excited just to have the flexibility of just being able to shoot, kind of point and shoot. Because with 35mm, I find I don't really want a lot of the control. Like, it is nice to have it sometimes, but I feel like I have my Mamiya RZ, and I don't really necessarily want or need that time to think. It almost feels like I'm just going out and just shooting for fun, especially with 36 frames. I feel like that can feel like a lot. And with my Minolta, I definitely felt like I was struggling to kind of get through a roll, whereas with this, I feel like I just, I have it in my pocket and I immediately can take it out. I mean, even, for example, right now, I can be walking around maybe downtown Santa Cruz and just have this on me. And it's been really handy, especially for my most recent trip, which I will be making a video about, with Zion and the Grand Canyon. It was great. With the hikes, it was a pain in the ass to carry the Mamiya, but this one I was able to take to a lot more places, even just around the campsite, and just take some really great shots. But overall, I mean, this camera has just allowed me to really just kind of experiment a lot more with my style, and really try to find my voice. I mean, I've been shooting film for probably since 2019. It's been only 3 years, but I'm still feeling like I'm trying to find my voice with my work. While sometimes, especially a lot of my earlier photography, shoots, felt like I was definitely aping or kind of stylistically trying to match those that I found to be, phenomenal photographers, whether that be Willem or even Volandis or Grainy Days. I feel like now I'm kind of have been able to grow outside of that, and really just kind of develop my own sense of what I think is a good photo. And while I still, look at the work of Ansel Adams or, any other photography book I can get my hands on, I still feel like with this camera, it has lent me a lot of flexibility to just kind of go out and just shoot. While film has gotten really expensive, and that has made it a bit of a bummer, I think the photos just kind of speak for themselves. I've really captured some of my favorite images, whether that be the wedding. Well, I shot most of it on digital with an A7 III that my friend let me borrow. Some of the photos that I got from my film camera were some of my favorites, and I actually see them all right here. So, would I recommend this camera to everyone? Well, honestly, another favorite things besides just talking about the process of film photography or just photography in general. God, I sound really pretentious right now. But the build of this is kind of wild to me. Just a metal front. It kind of feels great. The only downside to it, I would say, is kind of the back ends up being plasticky, which doesn't feel excellent. Also, it being an all electronic system, it already has. So I got this camera for, I think I mentioned it a few times, for $200. These can sell upwards to, I think, $1,000, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't checked in a while. I'm sure it's either gone up or maybe gone down, but probably up, knowing cameras. The automatic rewind actually does not work, which was very scary the first time since I shot 37 frames, and I was like, uh-oh, did I just rip the spool? out, or the film out of the spool, but fortunately I didn't, so I have to use a manual, which is down here, and it's worked fine. Definitely I think I'm just going to try to run this into the ground until, you know, I can get another one, but really I don't see myself moving on from this besides maybe getting a Leica camera for 35mm, because they look look sexy. But yeah, I don't really see a need for it. I mean, the Carl Zeiss lens, while it isn't as sharp, I believe, as the Contax zoom lens that one has, I find it pretty nice. Some of my first shots, which I had to burp, which I'll run by screen here, I had the date still set on them because I didn't know how to take them off, and I kind of liked that aesthetic somewhat, but I definitely took it off as soon as I figured out how to do it. It's got a timer on the top. Yes, I'm going to keep taking this in and out. It didn't come with a strap, but I would definitely recommend it. The zoom feature is actually really nice. I didn't think I'd be using it that often, but sometimes, you know, you want that like really close zoomed in shot, although it does have some vignetting when I zoom in to the maximum focal length, but I mean, that's not the end of the world. I can kind of crop in if I need to, but for the most part I try to use it wide or with like bumped up to one of the zooms. I forget the focal length, as it goes between 20 to 70, so I believe the second one is, I want to say, around 40ish, but that's really nice for like a tighter shot. And yeah, I mean, the zoom hardly ever misses. It has had some, unfortunately, where it zooms into tree branches instead of the landscape that I'm trying to capture. But yeah, I mean, it's hard for me not to love this camera. It has a special place in my heart, and while it was kind of hard to at first pull myself from, hey, I have a Minolta X7 just sitting there hanging out, why not put film in that? But you know, unfortunately it has its wear and tear, as it is an older camera. The film rewinding was kind of getting a little stuck, as well as the on-off switch was stuck, which was weird. I believe it probably got some sand because I took it to many beach excursions. So I feel like I kind of graduated from it. While I still might, you know, roll through it, especially for, you know, something like black and white. Something about just shooting black and white through that camera has felt very, very nice. Oh, where's this? I mean, it's just nice to have. I just throw it in my pocket, throw it in my backpack, and I have it in an outing with some of my friends, and I can just take a picture. And, you know, honestly, Forrest Gump was right. I guess his mom was right. Life is like a box of chocolates, and you never know what you're gonna get. And same goes with taking photos. I mean, if you're not kind of at the ready with your camera, you're not sure, you know, you might run into something that you're like, wow, that's a really cool classic car, or wow, the sunset is absolutely bussin', and you might want to capture it. And I think this is what this camera has just allowed me to do. While I still think my number one camera is my Mamiya, it's not convenient for all operations. So when I go to Europe, I definitely will be carrying this and probably my digital, which is recording right now, but probably not my Mamiya. It's very heavy, and currently at the time I only have the 108 lens on it, and yeah, that's not ideal for all shots, especially if you want to get some wide angle. So yeah, this will be my shooter for there. Probably run several rolls of 35mm, and yeah, just excited to continue shooting with it. And yeah, I think to end this video off, I'm just gonna have a myriad of some of my favorite shots that I've gotten with this camera. But if you can find one for cheap, I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're looking for something, I don't think to necessarily compete, but similar to a Contax. Yeah, this isn't a bad option. All right. that's been all from me. I'm gonna have a quick old little sip of my brewski, and I'm gonna be signing off. I hope you all have a blessed day. Take care of yourselves. Peace.